3rd and 5. They will not go into their goal line defense. Up to the right, Hayes to the left, Allward. Foulback, looking and in trouble. Now he gets away. Foulback over the 5 to about the 3, and he fouled the ball, but was he down? He was not. The Cowboys have fumbled. The Giants take over.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video, and welcome to the Gridiron. I was looking at some of the stats the Giants had from last year, and pertaining to their defense. I'm going to do one on their offense, but one with their defense. Some of the stats, there's a few of them that they need to really improve upon from last year. And with the additions that they made throughout free agency and in the draft, they got a pretty good shot at improving some of the stats that they fell a little short on last year. Now, I mean, let's keep things realistic here. They did pretty darn good last year. I mean, they were points per game. They were 9th best in the league, 22.3 points per game. It's not super outstanding, but 9th best, not bad. Total touchdowns given up was 38. They gave up 38 touchdowns. That was 5th best in the league, and 2 of those touchdowns, one was a kickoff return against us, against the Bengals, which kept the Bengals in the football game, and the other one was a return fumble for a touchdown against us when we played the Cowboys. So other than that, the defense gave up 36 touchdowns. So we did very good there. The passing touchdowns given up last year was 22, which was tied for 5th. Pretty good. Something very impressive. The red zone conversion, meaning the amount of times that a team got inside the red zone and scored a touchdown. Okay, the Giants' defense was 50.8%, which was 2nd best in all of football. Very impressive. That's the what you call the bend but don't break. That's maybe let them walk up and down the field, but once they get inside that 20, you make things really, really tough on us. So they only scored a touchdown half the time. That's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. For a team that didn't have basically an edge rusher, okay, and we haven't had an edge rusher in quite some time, they had 40 sacks, which was tied for 12th. Not bad. I mean, we added some edge rushers here, and we got Azeez Ojulari, so hopefully this year we should wind up a little more than 40. So instead of 12th, hopefully we might crack the top 10 this year. And if I tell you what, boy, if we get another edge rusher next year in the draft, got Azeez over here and somebody else over here coming in, we might be top 5. The tackles for loss. All right, we had 74 last year, which was 8th best in the league. Okay? Quarterback hits. They had 107 quarterback hits, which was 7th best in the league. All right, so another good one. Percentage of passes that were thrown that resulted in a touchdown was 3.8%, which was 5th best in the league. Very impressive. Quarterback knockdowns, right? They were 7th best in the league. They had 64 of those. And quarterback pressures, they were 8th best in the league. They had 165 quarterback pressures. So if you look at it like that, 16 games, they had like 10 quarterback pressures every game, Or they had a quarterback pressure 25% of the time. So every 4 dropbacks, they had one, quarterback, which maybe doesn't sound that impressive, but it was 8th best in the league. So, can't knock it. As I said, I mean, basically, we lost the captain, Dalvin Tomlinson. So, it's a good, hearty loss there, okay? But I think we more than made up for that, with the, we added a couple guys on the defensive front. I don't think nobody can compare to Dalvin. But we added quite a bit. We got some guys coming back off the injuries. You know, the X-Man. We got Lorenzo coming back. We drafted 2 edge rushers. We added to the secondary. Got Adoree Jackson. So I think what we added, to the defense, I think we should certainly get better this year. But I was looking at some of the stats that they had, and there was a couple of them that were that weren't too good. I mean, one of them, it's not some things you don't really think of, but the amount of time on average, okay, that our defense was on the field per drive. So every time the other team had the ball, and the amount of time that their time of possession was per drive was 3 minutes and 3 seconds, which doesn't sound like a lot, and it really isn't. But that was 4th worst in the league. If you look at the stats, you'll notice like Los Angeles, the Rams, Pittsburgh Steelers, Washington, even the Eagles were pretty good. I think the Rams were number 1. They averaged time per possession, when the other team was on the field, their defense was 2 minutes and 27 seconds. So that was well over 30 seconds less per drive that the Rams were on the field than the Giants were. So the Rams were number 1, and the Giants were 4th worst. So now these first 2 are all going to tie into my next 2. So the first 2, the time per drive, 3 minutes and 3 seconds. The Giants were on the field, which was 4th worst. Okay, the plays per drive. Every time the Giants were on the field, defense was on the field. The opponent's offense had the ball per drive, 6.6 plays per drive. All right, doesn't sound like a lot, but that was tied for the worst in all of football. Okay, I think Pittsburgh had the best. They were like a little over 5 plays per drive. Okay, so we were quite a bit away. They were the same thing. Pittsburgh was 1. I think the Rams were 2. Washington was like 3 or 4. As expected, the best defenses, had the least amount of plays per drive. So the first 2 stats, the time per drive and the plays per drive, ties into my next 2 stats. The 3rd down conversion rate. All right, the Giants were the 9th worst in all of football. They gave up a first down when the other team had the ball. It was 3rd down. The Giants gave up a first down 44.6% of the time, which was 9th worst. You got to get off the field. Got to. And that stat also now leads me into my next stat, the 4th down conversion rate. All right, they were the 11th worst. When the opponent's team had the ball on 4th down, they went for it. They made it 61.1% of the time, which was the 11th worst in the league. Now, just goes to show you there, the Giants, about 60% of the time, gave up a first down. So that would be 3 out of every 5 times the other team went for a first down or 4th down, they made it 3 out of every 5. The best in the league was, no shocker, was the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were number 1. They gave up 25% of the time. So that means that 1 out of every 4 times the opponent went for it against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, they made it 1 out of 4. The Giants gave up a first down 3 out of 5. They got to do better. So between their 3rd down conversions and 4th down conversions on defense, they got to do much better than that. They got to get off the field. I mean, you're just shooting yourself in the foot, because every time that they get another first down, every time they run another play, every time this, every time that, your defense is getting more and more tighter and tighter. And even as pathetic as the offense was, you still want to have your offense having the ball. You want your defense on the sideline. So they got to get off the field. Then the next one would be their completion percentage. Now the opponent's team completed 67.6% completion percentage against the Giants, which was 9th worst in the league. They got to do a better job of covering. I mean, I understand, they had some, Isaac Yiadom over there, I can understand that, but they got to do some better job of covering. Plain and simple. I think with some of the additions we got the X-Man, Xavier McKinney, coming back. He'll hopefully play a full season for us. We got our 2 cornerbacks that we drafted in the draft. We got Adoree Jackson. So hopefully we'll do a little bit better, and than 67.6%, because that's. I mean, if you said at the end of the year Daniel Jones completed 67.6% of his passes, you'd be like, damn, that's good. Because he was. His best was like, I think, 62.5. So, but I mean, if it's at the end of this year, if you look at Daniel Jones' stats, and he completed 67.6% of his passes, man, he was on fire this year. That just goes to show you, kind of how bad the defense was at covering passes last year. Got to do better than that. And the last stat that I'll go over is they only got 11 interceptions. They intercepted passes at 1.92%, which was tied for 10th worst. They got to do better than that. That's, which also, leads into the completion percentage being so high, but their interception percent, I mean, they wound up with, they recovered 11 fumbles. They had 22 turnovers that they got, which was like middle of the pack. Nothing great. The highest was, I think, 29. So we were like kind of middle of the pack. But you really need to do better than that. 11 interceptions for a whole season, it's not very, very good. There was 2 times, and the era of footballs is different. And, when they were throwing the ball back in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, there were far more interceptions than there are now. I get that. But just to kind of go to show you, give you a little taste of, maybe how sad 11 interception is for a whole season. I mean, there were 2 times in the history of the Giants where one man turned one season intercepted 11 passes. The first one was Otto Schnellbacher in 1951 for the Giants. Intercepted 11 passes during the 1951 season. Okay? The second was Jimmy Patton in 1958. The Giants that year went to the championship game and they lost to the Baltimore Colts 23-17 in overtime at Yankee Stadium. It was called the greatest game ever played. But Jimmy Patton, during that season, intercepted 11 passes. Then there was 3 other times during the Giants' history where guys intercepted 10 passes during a single season. And the kicker of it all is that the Giants nowadays are playing 16 games. Okay, when Otto Schnellbacher and Jimmy Patton intercepted 11 passes during the 51 and 58 season, those were 12-game seasons. So if they played at that rate, if they played 16 games back in 51 and 58, those 2 guys might have intercepted 14 or 15 passes during the single season. So 11 interceptions. Got to do better than that. Got to do better. Now, it's, the importance of the turnovers. I just gave you a couple examples, right? The one was when we lost to the Rams. Now, with 56 seconds left to go in the game, all right, we had the ball, I think it was around the Rams, 18-yard line. Daniel Jones steps back to pass. He had the rush. He felt the rush. He stepped up in the pocket. He started shuffling to his right. Damian Ratley is around the 4-yard line. He's about maybe a yard or 2 from the sideline. Okay, he's right. The sideline's here. Damian's over here, ready for a pass. If the ball gets thrown here, Damian catches it, steps out of bounds with about 50 seconds to go in the game, down around the 4-yard line. If we score a touchdown, maybe get the 2-point conversion, send it into overtime, who knows what happens, right? Daniel Jones throws a bad pass. Damian Ratley wants the ball right here. The ball gets thrown back into the field of play. Darius Williams comes out of nowhere, diving for it, picks the ball off. Game over. Don't get a chance to complete the comeback. We lose 17-9. The second game that I'll go over is with about 6 minutes to go in the first quarter. The Bears are beating us 7-0. We have the ball around our own 20-yard line. Daniel Jones doesn't feel the pressure. Ball gets stripped from him. He's holding the ball up. Ball gets stripped. Bears land on it, recover it, kick a field goal there. Now it's 10-0. With 12 minutes to go in the second quarter, the Giants are driving. They're down around the 30. Daniel Jones drops back, wants to hit Evan Ingram around the 20-yard line. As he's going to throw the ball, Evan Ingram slips. If Evan Ingram was able to stand up, the ball might have been delivered to him. Evan Ingram maybe catches the ball around the 20. Even if the Giants don't gain another yard, maybe we kick a field goal there. So there's 2 field goals, one that we gave to the Bears and one that we lost on an interception. Because Evan Ingram slipped, the ball, the Bear defender picked the ball off, and we lost 3 points there. And then also, at the end of the game, the Giants get down inside the Bears' 10-yard line. We have to go for it. We're down by 4 points. If we don't get that first turnover and the Bears kick a field goal, they don't get that, they get 3 less points. The Bears are winning 14-13. And we're down inside the 10-yard line with about 10 seconds to go in the game. We just kick a field goal. If Graham Gano kicks a field goal, we win. So turnovers are so important, whether you're giving them up or whether you're taking them. But if you're on the defense, you got to get more turnovers. So important, especially when it's going to be a dog-eat-dog NFC East this year, and you got to scratch and claw and win as many games as you possibly can, not even to win the division, but maybe make a playoffs as a wild card, period. So, but since we didn't win another game or so last year, since we didn't make the playoffs, all is not lost. Because we got the draft number 11. Because we got the draft of number 11, we got the trade back to number 20. And we got Kadarius Toney. And we got Azeez Ojulari. And not only that, but next year in the draft, we got 2 firsts, we got a second, we got 2 thirds, and we got 2 fourths. I'm pretty happy with that. And you know something, I'll be even happier is after next year's draft, after we get to pick those 2 first rounders, that 1 second, those 2 thirds, and those 2 fourths, and we got those guys on the team, I'll be even happier then. So, all is not lost. Well, as always, people, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. You guys stay safe out there, and go Giants! Woo!